Hi YouTube family, this is Steph VSG, and oh my god, the lighting is horrible. This is like the best lighting I can find. Today I think is November 7th or 6th. November 6th. And I am so sorry. I've been missing in action. But I know Shinnery has had a lot of things going on with her and haven't made a video. And as for me, I had so much going on that I'm sure I'm gonna go into a part 2 of this video. So let's get into it, and I will tell y'all the whole story of what's been going on. I'm actually in bed rest. I am recovering from surgery, and I will tell you what's been going on. So remember I told y'all how my sex drive has skyrocket? Well, I got myself in a little bit of trouble. Found out I was pregnant October, I want to say around October 15th or the 12th, something like that. I found out. I was in total shock, and I took another test 5 days later, and I still was. But a week after that, I started having bad stomach pains on the 21st. And no. I'm sorry. I took a test 5 days later, which was the 20th. The next day, the 21st, I had an office appointment to go to. And I was in extreme pain. I couldn't sit. So I'm in a cab going to my appointment, and I could not sit down. It was so painful. So after my appointment, I went to the bathroom in that same building, and a gush of blood just came out, and I'm freaking out. So I call my boyfriend, like, oh my god, this is what's going on. I'm sorry. Oh, that was painful. Sometimes I forgot I had surgery, and it was like the most painful thing ever. Yes, if you hear stuff in the background, they're actually doing repairs in my apartment. So excuse me for that. But I finally am able to make a video, and I'm like, let me just do it. So, I don't forget, I'm sorry, my son got me doing work here. He wants his tablet. So, I have to turn it on. So, I was, my boyfriend was like, oh my god, what the hell do you mean? He said, where are you? So I told him where I was, and I'm like, I'm going to the emergency room right now. I wasn't too far, and I took a cab to the emergency room. He met me there, and my sister met me there, and they was with me. So it was confirmed that I had a miscarriage. I miscarried, and honestly, it bothered me. But, you know, I knew that it happened for a reason, because I was not in the predicament for me to have a baby or for me to be pregnant, and I had the VSG surgery prior to, and I wasn't 18 months out yet. So I wasn't okay with it, but I knew it was for the best. So I go home, they put me on meds, they told me to follow my OBGYN, and she's like, your HCG blood level is still high. You know, that's the blood level that's supposed to say, hey, you are pregnant. So if I miscarry, it's supposed to be going down. So she's like, okay, well, you probably just need to, let me give you this medication. It'll hopefully clear out whatever is left in you without you getting a DNC, which is a scraping for the females that know after miscarrying. And I'm like, okay. So I take the medication. I go home, take the medication. And I'm still in pain. Right? So she called me the next day. I took my son to the zoo. She calls me the next day and tell me, well, Steph, you know, your blood work came back and, you know, it's still, it's kind of high. I don't know what's going on. But I sent a prescription to your pharmacy to get filled. It's an injection. If I remember the name, I think it's methotrexate. Yes, baby. Yeah, okay. Play with your toys. It's called methotrexate. And, you know, bring me the medication and I'll give you the injection. And hopefully that will clear it out. Alright, fine. Didn't make it to even get the medication. The following day, I was in excruciating pain. When I tell you I was in pain, it was like, mind you, I have a son, but I never been in labor, so I don't know how contractions feel. But if that's what contractions feel, oh no. It came and went. So I started timing the suckers. And it was on the money. I knew when I was going to get one, like every 5 minutes or whatever. So I go to the emergency room. And guess what? I miscarried number 2. Mama! Okay, I'm on the phone. Wait. I miscarried number 2. So it was 2. I was pregnant with twins. And miscarried the second one. And they sent me home, go to OBGYN, and get this thing settled and, you know, make sure everything's okay. Go to my OBGYN 2 days later. And she takes my blood. She calls me the next day. Steph, I don't know what's wrong with you, but your HCG level went up. So I'm like, what? She goes, your HCG level went up. I'm like, no. She's like, yes. She said, you need to go for a DNC. So now I definitely got to go for a scraping. I'm like, all right, so we're going to set it up. We're going to go. I didn't make it through that day. I did not make it through that day, YouTube family. I went back to the emergency room that night. Go back to the emergency room that night. They're like, yes, it went up. You need a DNC. So go. But they do this whole sonogram and all that good stuff. They do the sonogram. Yes, YouTube family. Guess what? They found number 3. So I'm looking at the doctors. The doctors is looking at me. They was like, triplets? I'm like, they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. But that one was not, it wasn't going to be able to make it. It was totally undistressed. And it was like, you know what? Your best bet right now is to get the DNC and just get it removed, because it will not survive it. I'm like, you know, that's the best thing. If, you know, so at this point, I'm passing these big clots for days now. I'm bleeding for days, and I had the surgery. I had the DNC that day. That was the 30th of October. I had the DNC. And after the DNC, I was feeling weak, feeling out of it. So I was admitted to the hospital. Well, I was already admitted to the hospital before the surgery. And after the surgery, they was like, you know, we're worried because your hemoglobin, your blood level is so low. It was in 7, and that's not good. Your blood level was supposed to be up around 10, 11, something like that. But 7 is like, and when I tell you I was ghost white, like literally, I had no blood. My blood has my period. Period. I stopped bleeding at that point, and they're like, they want to give me a blood transfusion, and I'm like, no, I don't want a blood transfusion. Just give me a couple of days. Let's see how this goes, and if I need a blood transfusion, then I will think that over. So YouTube family, there will be a part 2 of this video because I'm gonna almost be over, but there will be a part 2. So I'm just letting y'all know ahead of time. So that night went through, but I still had this crazy pain on my right side of my stomach. It was unbelievably painful. This one, oh my God, I didn't know what the hell it was. I'm like, they're like, no, after D&C you get cramping. I'm like, no, this is not cramping. This pain is on some next level type. Like, I don't know what the hell it was, but this one was crazy.